Hello everyone, this is the Flimsy 3 weeks, number 10, and I want to deal today with the Torah reading of Tisha BV morning. As opposed to every fast day on Tisha BV morning, the Gemara Paskins in Maseches Megillah, Daf Lamed Gimel, Amud Bet, Amar Abaye, Ha'itna today, Nahug Alma, the minhag is Lemikre Ki Tolid Banim. We read a portion from the book of Ve'et Chanan, starting with the words Ki Tolid Banim. My question is, what is the character of this laning of Tisha BV morning? It is not the laning we lane at every fast day. So, how do we view it? As everybody knows, Tisha B'Av basically has two elements to it. It's also a fast day, but it's also a day of mourning. And therefore, when you talk about the prohibitions of Tisha B'Av, you always have to ask yourself, is this stemming from the fact that it's a fast day, or is this stemming from the fact that it's a day of mourning? So, dead giveaway, not learning Torah is because of mourning. You can obviously learn Torah on Yom Kippur. On the other hand, not eating and drinking stems from it being a fast day. Well, when it comes to this Torah reading, which of the two categories would you put it in? And in my humble opinion, it happens to be a machlokes between the poskim. Comes along the Masechet Sofrim, which is one of the quasi-mesechtas of the Shas, and says, HaKoreh b'Tisha B'Av omer Baruch Dayana Emet. You actually make the bracha Baruch Dayana Emet like you would at a funeral of a loved one. And some don't even put it on the bima, they put it on the floor. And you say, Nafla ateret roshenu. And you say, wow, our crown has fallen, which indeed is a pasuk from Eicha. This Torah reading is a Torah reading of mourning. We don't put it on the bima, we put it on the floor, we say Baruch Dayana Emet, and indeed the Kolbo comes along and brings another custom. Motzi'in Sefer Torah b'li Torah, you take it out without its crown, v'hovchina mapa, and you don't put it on the bima, on the regular cover of the bima, but you turn the cover around, and when you finally roll it, you put it on a very, very low place, like a bench, not on the bima, or not on the regular place you usually read it. And all this, why? It's a way to get people to mourn for the destruction of the temple. Just to see how far this goes, the Shut Var Shmuel Bitten Rav Shmuel Abuha, his year 1610 to 1694, he was born in the Sparta community of Hamburg, Germany. Unique. And he was indeed the Rav in Verona and afterwards in Venice. He writes a very interesting minhag regarding Torah reading on Tisha B'Av. Al divrat minhag simat sefer Torah likrot bo b'tzibur b'yom Tisha B'Av al gabei ish muteh v'kafuf umatfanav lamata. No bima, no table, nothing. This is what they would do. Take out the Torah, put it on someone would get down on all fours, they'd put it on his back, and that was the way they read the Torah on Tisha B'Av. It's clearly showing that it's in the category of mourning and not in the category of fasting. Because on a fast day like Yom Kippur, that is not the way we read the Torah. From this perspective, it's not surprising that the Beit Yosef brings, indeed, the Masechet Sofrim, and Paskins in the Beit Yosef, though not in the code of Jewish law, Likrot, Kodem Shivarech, Birkat Torah, Omer Baruch Dayana Emet. So on Tisha B'Av, when you read the Torah reading, you don't just say the bracha like you do before an Aliyah, but the three people that are called up say Baruch Dayana Emet first, the bracha that you say at a funeral, and on bad news, and then you say the brachos on your Aliyah. The Shalah, years later, comes along and says that indeed he thinks this is the right thing to do, and says, Ve'en lakshot, ma shayachut the Baruch Dayana Emet the Bekora Batorah. What's the connection between this terrible bracha and the Torah reading? After all, that Shabbos is going to be Ve'et Chanan. We're going to read that same Torah reading as part of the Torah reading. We won't say Dayana Emet. Says the Shla, the B'kriyat Tisha B'Av Uskara Churban B'Galut. Indeed, in that Torah reading, there is remnants to the fact that God will send us into exile if we don't follow the mitzvot. And the Levush, living already in the 17th century, indeed says that you shouldn't say it out loud, but you should say quietly, Dayana Emet, because we're actually reading on Tisha B'Av what happened in that Torah reading and transpired on that day, and therefore you say Baruch Dayana Emet. All these posts can basically come and say, put the Torah reading in the category of mourning. But that is not the only opinion. There's another opinion, and that is the Abu Draham. The Abu Draham, also a Sephardi, so this is not Ashkenazi Sephardi thing. Umotzi Sefer Torah Menichol Migdal Katan Eitzel HaTeva. והפעם שמשנים מקום ספר תורה, משום דאמינן בתענית ציבור ונותנים עפר מקלה על גבי הטבע, משום דכתיב, עמו אנוכי בצרה. Indeed, there's a Gemara in Tainus that talks about reading the Torah on a public fast day, and it talks about the fact that you do not read it in the shul, but you take it outside, and the whole Torah reading and the prayer service happens outside. So, it's a fast day, so we're doing the same thing, albeit we're doing inside the synagogue. We're changing the place that we usually read the Torah. Namely, the Abud Ram clearly puts it into the category of a fast day behavior, and not as coming from a mourning behavior. And therefore, it's not surprising that the Garkei Moshe, the Ramah, disagrees with the Shulchan Aruch. He says not to say Dayana Emet. Indeed, we do not make this bracha. Comes along the Magen Avram, and I believe he debates how to view this Torah reading, because he ultimately says, Tov sha'akora yomer oto b'li shem u'malchus. You should basically say Dayana Emes, but without the bracha. With Baruch shepetarani mi onchol sherazeh, that you say it at bar mitzvah, we don't say b'shem u'v'malchus. I believe that, indeed, these poskim disagree. How do we view the Torah reading? Is the Torah reading a Torah reading of mourning, and basically talks about this is what could happen, did happen, and say Dayana Emet? Or maybe not. Maybe the Torah reading is a spark of hope. Namely, the Torah reading says, if you seek God, you will find Him. The Torah reading talks about Tshuva. It talks about the fact that you could return to God if indeed you so will. So on the morning of Tisha B'Av, when indeed we've been fasting for many hours already, perhaps the majority of the day is over, we sat on the floor the night before we read Eicha, and we're doing all these morning practices. But there's a spark of hope. If you do Tshuva, God will forgive you and things will get better. So, when you come to the Torah reading on Tisha B'Av morning, the question is, are you talking about the past? This is what could happen and did happen? Or you're looking towards the future. Namely, it could happen, it did happen, but it could be fixed. And it's up to us to do that tshuva, to do the repentance properly, to seek out God. And indeed, if we do so, then all these terrible things will be rectified. The fact that today, Tisha B'Av, is actually a day of fasting and mourning is not that's going to be the destiny forever. Maybe that Torah reading without Dayana Emet, as per the Ashkenazic minhag, tells us even that could be fixed and can change around, thus making it a flimsy day.
Oy mu seitdem leucht die leucht mit sie the kura be you mine le yo voy long vu et die isko oy mu seitdem leucht die leucht mit sie